r/AskReddt. What was the dumbest thing you ever did to try and impress a girl or guy? I was about 12 years old and riding my bike home from high school when I saw a pack of pretty girls ahead of me, like 5 years older. This stretch of road meant I had to ride on the pavement, so I thought I'd be cool and overtake them by dropping down into the road and then jumping back up the curb once I passed them. Well, I almost died that day. My determination to impress the girls overtook the part of my brain that deals with logic and I severely miscalculated the jump. I skidded against the curb and it bucked me out into the middle of the road into oncoming traffic. I scrambled to get back onto the pavement and my bike flew clean off the ground and I was propelled into a bush. Goal achieved. I overtook the girls. And they did come over to help and called me cute when I started crying, so I took it as a win. Haven't been on a bike since, though. Edit. Yikes. Well, at least someone gets a laugh out of this experience. Just to clarify, because a lot of people seem confused, I'm in England, where high school starts at 11. And I'm also a girl, to all of you referring to me as a heel mayo. That saved me some extra embarrassment, because if I were a guy they'd almost certainly have caught on that I was trying to impress them. Thanks for the awards, kind strangers. I tried to impress girls once as well, but I wished at the time I was dead because of the embarrassment. I posted this about a month ago. I was 13 and I had no idea how to look cool or not a socially awkward mess around girls. So when riding my bike at the park, my dad had called me to leave and there were a group of similar aged girls nearby I thought were cute. My first thought in my sub-Neanderthal brain was, oh, in movies they like strong guys. I can lift my bike, I'll show off that, as if that wasn't the stupidest fucking thing ever. So I lifted my bike over my shoulder, like you would a bag of ice or something. Except it's a smaller mountain bike, so it's solid metal and very heavy. So there I am, trying to act like I no need wheel this thing like normal person. Me strunk, me carry far away, I show. My dad just yells to me, hey bud, just wheel it, it's just a bike. As if it's a normal occurrence that I forget how bikes work. I promise it wasn't. So do I put it down and just quit it? Now I have a hole to dig and China is the destination. I just walk, a scrawny 13-year-old with a big ass bike on his shoulder, slowly and carefully all the way across the playground to the car. And my dad just puts it in and said it wasn't worth it, huh? And I just stayed silent. My poor father probably sat there like, bless his soul, he's retarded. I sometimes, late at night, lay down calmly, and just as I'm about to sleep, I get hit with this cold feeling of anxiety and terror as I remember that moment. If I could, I would have punched myself into a coma. Fuck, I was an idiot. I've told this story before, but when I was about 8 years old we took a field trip to the Field Museum here in Chicago. During our lunch break I decided to wander off to the gift shop and see what they had. I had a huge crush on this girl named Victoria in my class and I saw this ladybug ring for a couple of dollars. I knew she liked ladybugs and I had money my parents gave me to buy something at the shop, so I decided to buy the ring and give it to her. I was really nervous and kept waiting for the right time to do it. I eventually decided to just go for it and walked up to her near the end of the trip. She was with some of her friends which made me more nervous, but I found the courage to do it. She looked at the ring and laughed. Her friends joined her and she then tossed the ring in the trash. I was completely devastated and tried hard to hold back my tears. Even though I'm over it now, that completely fucked my confidence with girls for a long time. Looking back, I may have embarrassed her too, giving it to her in front of her friends, which is why she reacted that way, but whatever the case, it's probably the most embarrassed I have been in my life. Obligatory not me, but around 7th grade, the boys in my art class used to have competitions among themselves. They tried to find out who could drink the most distilled vinegar, who could jump down the most steps on the stairs, and they sucked the ink out of these little ink cartridges you'd have for your fountain pen. It was pretty gross, not really healthy and a really stupid and weird thing to do, and it's weird that they thought that would be the thing to impress girls, but it totally worked. I had a huge crush on the guy who drank the most Vinegar, regularly ate ink cartridges, and jumped down a whole flight of stairs in one go, and he actually became my first ever boyfriend 10 years later, and I still think of that little shithead fondly. Edit to put in something stupid I've done. A guy in his 20s took me out on a date, pretty obviously had feelings for me, but pretended he didn't because he had issues and didn't want me to have control over him. Stupid 18-year-old me pretended I didn't have any feelings for him either to be the cool girl, and so I could still hang out with him because I was super infatuated. Wasn't cool at all. Made for a terrible abusive relationship, but a big lesson on never picking a guy like that again, and never playing stupid dating games again either. In 5th grade I jumped straight down a flight of stairs. It was like 12 or 13 steps. Here's a little backstory. There was this girl I liked. We talked a lot kinda sorta. She gave off a vibe like she liked me, but did the same with other boys too. So here and none of my friends were having a conversation. It was a fun day or a free day, so everyone was just hanging with their friends and such. So anyway I saw them, and she was laughing at a joke he told. So in my mind I thought I would look cool jumping down the stairs and landing on my feet. Thinking maybe she'll think I'm some athletic freakazoid, I took a good running start and ran straight between them, so she would have no choice but to look. I leap as far as I could, feeling so majestic and graceful, was very short-lived. I felt the ground put an abrupt stop to my gracefulness. I knocked the wind out of myself, but still managed to stay on my feet. I literally could not breathe. I thought I was dying. I couldn't stand up straight without feeling any pain. I looked up and saw her looking at me, so with everything in me, I stood up straight and walked until I was out of view. Then I instantly stooped over again and made my way toward my class. All my friends that passed was asking me if I was okay. I was clutching my stomach and chest. I made my way back to my class and collapsed on the floor until I recovered and coughed up some blood too. Edit. This is the most upvotes I've ever had, and thank you so much for the silver badge. Was at a friend's lake house on a lake in northern Maine, a short drive from the border with Canada, in late May. The water had been a sheet of ice a few weeks prior, but it was nice and warming up. So while we were out on the lake in a boat with his wife and my girlfriend, I decided to show off by swimming to a small island that was in the center of the lake and was surrounded by boys marking where it was too shallow for boats. It looked to be only a few hundred yards away, so I stripped to my shorts and dove into the water. I was a pretty strong swimmer then, but that water was the coldest thing I have ever encountered. I got into my rhythm, but each time I came up for air I was simply unable to breathe in beyond tiny little gasps. Gradually worry and then panic came over me, and I began to fatigue far quicker than I would have expected. In my mind, I started to worry that if I made it to the island, I would not be able to get back. So I began to modify my expectations. Just wanted to make it to the boy. Then I gave up that goal and just stopped. Turned around to call for help, to see that my friends had sped away. They were gone. I was in the middle of this freezing lake, with nothing, exhausted and alone. Full panic started then. Panic strength helped me get to the boy, which I was able to cling to for a few minutes, before they mercifully came back. In the end, it worked. The girl in question is now my wife. I still show off my swimming prowess to her any chance I get. Freshman year in high school. Had a crush on a classmate. We'll call him L. Seemed like he liked me too, but he was popular, so you never know if it's just them doing the whole smooth, friends with everyone, yet borderline flirting kind of act. So, I decided to profess my love via a poem. I thought it would impress him to show my mad rhyming skills and my absolute adoration for alliteration. Go to L's locker during a restroom break. Shove that 4 pages thick bad boy in those tiny little windows of ventilation, and then after the bell rings, giggle and hide with my girlfriends as we watch from afar, waiting for him to go to his locker, so my shower of love could befall upon him. Welp. Turns out I stuffed it into the wrong locker. Let's call him Jay, a kid I generally did not get along with. Jay is at first shocked, confused that his enemy wrote him a poem because I couldn't keep it anonymous and play it cool. Nope. No sir. I had to write poem written with love by Kismet as the freaking title. Then Jay realizes that I did not mean for these love notes to be for him and quickly starts calling out for the entire freshman year to come over. I start to rush over with every intention of shutting him up. But my friends hold me back. Till this day I still have no idea why they stopped me. Anyway, Jay starts reading out my poems and even Elle is there to listen to them. And at the end, there was even a declaration to Elle, of sorts, where I basically ask Elle if he would be my boyfriend. Laughter, pitiful looks, the whole ordeal. I was mortified. Elle was never friendly with me again, never let me explain or apologize for humiliating him. The bright side though, people forgot about it by sophomore year. I still had a lot of friends, and my English teachers heard about it and thought I had talent. So I pursued a writing major after that. Oh. And I beat up Jay in the handball court after school like a week later, haha. PS, if this post gets enough attention, I'll try to find the poems to post it here, haha. In 9th grade I had a huge crush on a girl that was a year older than me. Valentine's Day came around and I wanted to make a romantic gesture. I left a rose in her locker with a little love note attached to it. The day came and went and I received no inclination that she was interested. So, embarrassed and defeated, I left it be. I moved away the next year and didn't stay in touch with anyone from the school. 6 or 7 years later, after I had graduated and joined the military, I went back to visit the little town I'd grown up in. I ran into the girl who had blown me off all those years ago. She was working at a diner. We recognized each other and began talking. After a while she told me that she had always liked me in school and was sad I had never asked her out. At this point I was quite confused, so I brought up the Valentine gift I had left for her that day. She got super excited and told me it was the sweetest thing anyone had done for her at that point. I mean, we were kids, so it makes sense. When I asked her why she had never approached me about it or made a move, she told me that I hadn't put my name on the note and she had no idea who had left it. Needless to say, we had a good long laugh over that. I played the secret admirer game a little too well that day. I met a fella online and in conversation he mentioned how much he loved Resident Evil. We were both gamers, but I'd never touched that series before, so I invested hours of wiki crawling research to understand the game's lore, monsters, characters, what happened in which game, the works. We met in person and bonded over our love of horror flicks, so we went back to his place to watch some. He offered putting in one of the Resident Evil movies, to which I said hell yes, thinking I'd get to flex my encyclopedic knowledge and impress him. I made some comments during the movie without being obnoxious, and afterward made some comments about how the movie portrayal differed from the games, called a few of the monsters by name, which they hadn't been in the movies, etc. He gives me a funny look and goes, "Huh, I never played the games, so I'll take your word for it." Damn it. But it worked out cause now we are married. Took up her younger, 2 to 3 years, brother's challenge to wrestle on the floor. 15-year-old me was 100% grappled and unable to escape. He finally let me go after she just sighed and ignored us long enough. The same day, during what I assume was a tickle fight or some shit, I tried to playfully scoop her up off the couch and farted in the process. I immediately erupted in a fit of hysterical laughter for 5 minutes while she sat there wondering what was so funny about a fart. Same girl. I once watched one of the band members at school flirtingly lift her up over his shoulder and carry her around. We were dating, but I was a wimp and not going to say anything. She giggled and afterwards said something along the lines of "he's so annoying" in a more or less playful manner. So, in the same basement TV room where her 12-year-old brother rendered me previously motionless on the floor, we were doing probably fucking nothing when I hoisted her up over my shoulder and stood there for a moment wondering why she wasn't giggling. I put her down after she said "what's happening?" at which point I probably stuttered and shrugged it off. In hindsight, even the few short months we dated were longer than I had any business getting away with. Please tell me I wasn't the only one who was so helpless in high school. TLDR, attractive foreign exchange student from Spain nearly wrecked my car as I attempted to teach her to drive for the first time. I think my thought process was that it'd be a memorable experience for her that would eventually pave the way to me getting with her. There was an attractive foreign exchange student from Spain at our school in rural Iowa that year, and I befriended her in an attempt to get with her eventually. After a couple months of being her friend, we somehow got on the topic of how she's never driven a car but would love to try it out. I think driving is far less common in other countries when compared to the US, but don't quote me on that. Update: I should also let it be known that I befriended her because she was an interesting, fun person. We had similar personalities, and it just so happened that I was also attracted to her. So, I thought, what could be the worst thing to happen if I let her drive around the parking lot a bit? I seemed to define my first time driving. Well, it turns out she had no concept of gradual, slow, even pressure on the pedal while you're starting off, and about wrecked my car a few times by going pedal to the floor. Had to pull the e-brake, and I decided it wasn't worth totaling my car and whoever else was parked in the lot that day. I met this really cute girl once at a GameStop. Me, being the little bitch I am, was too nervous to give this girl my number. So my roommate, after we had left the store and back, and gave her my number, and eventually she texted me back. But this girl was into drugs. And spoiler alert, I'm not. I smoke some weed occasionally, but I'm no aficionado. So I go to her place sometime to hang out, and she has a friend over. We're hanging out and talking, and eventually we all decide to take a drive to a remote place to smoke some of the devil's lettuce. I grossly overestimated how much I could hit the bowl of sweet nectar. I took a couple hits, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground with both of them trying to wake me up. I'm out of it. I'm fucking shaking and can't think straight. Time was an illusion of the mind, and I'm anxiously trying to leave her place without looking like a dipshit. I would attempt to get out of the chair, only to sit back down thinking, no, she'll hate you if you leave. I eventually left and got myself home. I was so ashamed, but only months later realized I got out scot-free. She started dating this other guy and was doing some hardcore shit. The next day there was a trip. I was still high of my mind and was working. Most of my coworkers knew immediately. Posted this before, but here you go. My time at church camp. When I was in 6th grade, my parents talked me into going to a week-long church camp. I knew of, but didn't know personally any of the kids going, but they sold me that everyone would praise Jesus, ride horses, and have a good time. I decided to go. It was like a 6-hour drive in one of those big white vans. Quickly everyone started whipping out their CD cases and exchanging music, and I instantly was like, fuck. I only had 2 CDs, Britney Spears' Baby One More Time and Everclear. I was a really weird kid. Everyone was trying to talk to me about music, and I had honestly never heard of any of the bands they were talking about. I just wanted to jam some Britney to myself. So naturally, I went the elitist route, said I had all of that music, and I was listening to some new underground private shit they hadn't heard of. Once we get to camp, all I'm thinking is let's find some friends quick, because I can't talk to these kids anymore. I go to the pool and make some friends with a few older kids. There were 3 girls, 2 guys, and me. They were all in 8th grade, so obviously they were really cool. Plus, I thought the girls were really hot. I figured this would be the best time, if any, to get my first kiss. We decide to leave the pool and walk around the camp till we all had to have a group meetup. The cabins were separated by grades, so they said they would walk by the 6th grade cabin and pick me up. First thing I do is put on my freshest outfit. Great time to break out my fresh white t-shirt. Can't forget my Jane shorts. This was pre-faded denim, so this was the industrial bright blue Jane shorts. It's summer in Texas, so I might as well top the outfit off with knee-high white socks. And, of course, for the bitches, Doc Martens. I looked like a weird redneck lumberjack. So I walk out, and they're kind of like WTF, but whatever. It's kiss time. We start walking, and one of the older guys farts and all the girls laugh. Boom. Found my friend Travis, and I have been making fart jokes for quite some time, so I'm up to speed on this area of humor. Bam. The other guy farts and all the girls laugh even harder. Got him. Now I'm thinking all I have to do is drop the biggest fart, and literally the girls are going to laugh so hard they're going to each kiss me one by one. I start clenching and squeezing my stomach as hard as I can. I'm walking like a newborn deer. Then I feel it. Got a big one ready. So, instead of just dropping it out and laughing, I wanted to make a big show about it. I run in front of the small group, squat down, turn just my head around, and forcefully shit myself. This was all-out diarrhea. If you didn't know this before, early 90s denim was the least forgiving fabric in the world. Everyone knew I shit. It's running down my leg, being soaked up by my knee-high socks. Instantly, I just react and start running, kicking up shit like mud off a truck. I've never been to this camp before, so I'm just running for anything. I find a bathroom, toss the socks, boxers, shirt, but I couldn't drop the jorts. I can't just walk across the church camp naked. Plus at this point I'm thinking maybe they didn't really see it. I was really confident in my speed at the time, so I was thinking I could say that's my thing. I drop giant farts and run before the smell catches me. Come to find out, not only were the 5 people I shit in front of outside the bathroom waiting for me, but there were like 25 kids. Instantly, I just ran in my docs and jorts combo back to the cabin I was staying in with the other kids chasing me and yelling shit pants. I run to my bed to find all the music nerds I drove up with going through my CD case. It only has the 2 CDs. They're like WTF. Thought you had tons of secret music, bro. Wait, did you shit your pants? So yeah, that was about 4 hours into a week-long trip. I really thought farting would impress these girls. I lost my favorite pair of jorts and a bit of my pride that day. My first serious girlfriend is home alone, and I think this might be the day I get off of second base. I'm all of 13, hormone-addled, and obviously confident this girl is the love of my life. It's midsummer and I know I can bike the 3-ish miles pretty quickly. I tell my parents I'm going to see my friend right around the block. They warn me that a thunderstorm is rolling in, and I tell them it takes no time to get there. 10 minutes later I'm only halfway there, terrified, crying, pedaling as hard as I can to go downhill against the wind. My all metal framed BMX knockoff Huffy doing its best to not get hit with lightning and fuse me to its shiny silver exterior forever. 30 plus minutes after that, I pull into her garage and thank God that all the rain has hid the fact I've been ugly sobbing the entire way. Her parents then pull in as I'm literally hunched over trying to catch my breath. I tell them this was the only house I knew on the street, and it would have been life-threatening to bike the rest of the way home in this storm. They smile, probably knowing it was a lie, and treated me to a nice dinner. It ends with a very awkward drive home with her father, my bike in the back of his truck. Edit. Thanks for the platinum, stranger. I'm so happy this random event in my life made so many people smile. Edit 2. The distance has to be wrong. The wind was incredibly strong and made me travel at the pace of a fast walk, but that still doesn't feel right considering it took me 40 plus minutes. I hoarded a bunch of stuffed animals I won at a local arcade over the summer for this girl I really liked. One night, I thought, you know, tonight's the night. I'm going to surprise my crush with all these stuffed animals, and she's going to fall in love with me. So, I threw them in a white garbage bag, walked 2 miles down the road to her house during sunset, and knocked on her door. She answered the door, while I concealed the bag of goodies behind my back. She awkwardly asked what I was doing at her house and I revealed the surprise. She slowly grabbed the bag from me, looked inside of it, and gave me an awkward thanks, while closing the door. Right then and there, I realized I miscalculated the gesture, and probably looked like a huge creepy fuck. I power walked back home, and to this day, I still think about it from time to time. I think it's my brain's way of punishing me eternally for putting it through that whole thing. I'm loaded with stupid stories like this one, because I'm a huge romantic, and I tend to get bitten in the ass in one way or another, because I just don't see clearly when I'm in the haze of being in love. Edit. Here's another one. Arguably more embarrassing. So, to start, I'm a hairy guy. Chest and back just plagued with hair. It's bad. Anyway, about 3 years ago, I had this huge crush on a girl. I had been telling my best friend this girl was literally perfection in my eyes. Beautiful, smart, hilarious, and down to earth. But I couldn't find a way to ask this girl to hang out with me without becoming awkward and making a fool of myself. I mean, I turned into a bumbling fool whenever I just said hi to her or made small talk, so how in the hell am I supposed to ask her out? What was I going to do? It hit me, though. This girl does waxing as a side job, and I'm a hairy guy. It's perfect, right? What if I make up an excuse for her to wax me? So, one day, I send her a text and make up a reason as to why I need my chest and back waxed. She, of course, accepts the job, and next thing you know, I'm at her house on my back shirtless. As she's applying the hot wax to my chest, it starts to hit me. This probably wasn't the best way to get her to hang out with me. She applies a strip and RIP. Out comes a chunk of chest hair. I'm not kidding when I say that fucking hurt. I'm doing my best not to show pain, but it's damn near impossible. My face is giving it all away, and she's having a blast with it. Of course I want to tell her, you know what, forget it. This isn't for me, but I can't. I put myself in this situation just to spend time with her, and I can't bitch out now. So I take it. My chest hair and back hair, completely gone. By the end of it, I was filled with regret, bled a little, and I was $50 lighter. I left a broken, hairless man, and I realized how absolutely desperate I was to spend time with her. I took a wax of my chest and back for that girl, but, happy ending to all this, we are currently engaged, and we wed later this year. She loves to hold this story over my head because she finds it adorable I took a beating just so I can spend time with her. Mildly embarrassing, but I take it because it makes her smile. Oh, finally, I can tell this story. My sister was driving me back to college after Thanksgiving break, and there was this cool girl who drove a yellow Jeep Wrangler who I had some classes with. On the road getting closer to the school, I saw a yellow Jeep coming up next to us in the left lane. Of course, I thought it had to be her. I was in the passenger seat and decided it would be a great idea to open the sunroof, stick my head out, and say hello. Mind you, we are going about 60 miles per hour, and I wear glasses. I opened the sunroof, stuck my head out, turned to face the upcoming car, and my glasses flew off my face. I'm practically blind without them. I yelled at my sister to pull over, and we spent the next 30 minutes wandering around the side of the highway, blind, to try and find my frames. They got pretty smashed up, but luckily the lenses weren't too scratched. I was able to get some duct tape and a pair of sunglasses at a gas station and rig up the monstrosities I wore on my face for the rest of that semester. No cash for new ones. To this day I still don't know if it was her driving that Jeep. My sophomore year of HS, I asked a girl out on Valentine's Day by having red, pink, and white carnations delivered to her homeroom. I walked by her homeroom, and my buddy gave me the negative head shake. Already disappointed, she came out and told me she had a boyfriend and asked me if understood. She kept on repeating, "Do you understand?" repeatedly. In retrospect, I probably had the deer in headlights look on my face. The worst part was that I was pretty confident about her saying yes and had told all my friends about it. The train ride home that afternoon was pure hell as my friends razzed me non-stop for the entire ride. In my defense, she had invited me to her birthday party a few weeks before, and her boyfriend wasn't there, and he wasn't brought up at all. So, yeah. To say I was gun shy after that would be a major understatement. Edit. Thank you for the silver kind sir/madam. Edit 2. I want to thank everyone for all the support and kind words. Reading the comments and talking out the incident has been quite cathartic. I never realized until today how much of an impact that fateful day had upon my life. I always thought my tendency to overthink things was just the way I am. I didn't realize how much a blow to my confidence that day was and much it shaped the man that I become. Today was really eye-opening and I wanted to thank you all for your insight and sharing your painful experiences. I actually got one. I was 14, totally fully in love with this girl from my class. Got her at, we kinda flirted for a whole year but got nowhere. She was the kind of girl who likes attention, so you can imagine how she kept me hooked up knowing I had no chance. Since it was getting close to Valentine's Day, I decided I was going to impress her and make her mine by learning how to play guitar and all her favorite songs. A whole week practicing like a madman and actually learned 2 songs I knew she loved. So fully prepared and convinced I'd hit jackpot. On the 14th I go to her house, call her out telling her I had a surprise. She pops her head out of the door, sees me and my guitar and notes the fuck out of there, telling me to leave. Hey, at least I now know how to play a guitar. Edit. Damn, you really like me getting a door slammed onto my face. D, thanks for my first mega upvoted post. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. I would be so grateful if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel. New videos every day.